back, everyone, to Master of the Universe podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about 2003's Freddy vs. Jason, starring Monica Keena, Jason Ritter, Kelly Rowland, Chris's girlfriend, and, of course, Robert Englund, amongst others. Christopher J., how we doing tonight, man?
Doing good, man. Doing good. It's all good.
Yeah, we just passed our 20th episode. I don't know if this is going to be episode 21 or 22. It hasn't been known yet. We've been doing our episodes a little bit ahead of time, so y'all guys have, content continuously. So you may see this before Insidious 4 or after it, but we're doing that either before or after. You'll know once it already comes out, dude. But so this is our, eighth sequel in the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, and basically it is the last one, and there's the remake, which is, you can count it as part of it, but it's really not. But anyway, this is basically our our completed franchise, just about. So Chris, when you grew up, did you hear about this motherfucker, Freddy vs. Jason, when it came out in 2003? Or I know you said you're not a horror guy, but you like horrors, though.
I do like horrors and horror. So here's the thing. So this one came out literally 1 week before I started my junior year of college. So I had heard people probably a year or so after the fact mention it, like in casual conversation, but I did not see it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can't remember if I saw it or not. I remember it was a big ordeal because, y'all guys have heard me rant about Freddy. Like, I grew up with Freddy. I wasn't so much a Jason guy. I knew about Jason, of course, like every other horror movie growing up, but I really wasn't into him because it was, like, too brutal, and I wasn't into, like, just seeing, like, a guy just stab people and rip their eye out and shit. Like, that wasn't my go-to. Like, it was until I got way older that I started watching the Friday the 13th just to, like, marathon them, and I'm like, fuck it. And I actually did that not too long ago, like a year ago. I did that with my soon-to-be ex-wife. Like, we would watch the Freddys, and then, like, a week or two later, we'd be like, hey, let's watch the Jasons. And those, like, they kind of work. We are going to get into them, but, like, those, like, you're not going to have as much fun if you're, like, you're not really prepared for that kind of movie. It's totally different. It's the stuff that's in the woods. You have a killer opposed to Freddy, which is like a dream world guy. So you got like two opposites, and you're throwing them in the film. And I think they did a pretty good job with trying to make a story where, it's ridiculous because you got Freddy versus Jason, like King Kong and Godzilla. But like, you only saw the versus stuff like way back when, Frankenstein meets the Wolfman, and King Kong like I said versus Godzilla, and you didn't see it for a while till this. So it's a rarity to be able to see two icons kind of go at it. But the reason they was because I think New Line had got the rights for the Jason character, and that brings us to the beginning of the film. Is that you see all the flashbacks of like the Freddy films, mostly the first three. But you don't see any Jason stuff, and that basically, from my understanding, is because they didn't have the rights to those films. So we don't get to see any of the badass Jason stuff, but that would have been cool to see, huh?
No, you don't see any of that. And this thing is, we've only done Friday the 13th Part 1 so far. The remainders will be coming, but I actually, because Jason isn't a talker. Jason isn't someone who intellectually advances at people, but Freddy is. So, narrated from Freddy's perspective, and he gives his history, and it's talking about people forgetting about it. He's like, now that's a bitch!
Yeah, I started laughing when he does say that. Now being forgotten, now that's a bitch! Yeah, it's supposed to be like 3 months after the final Friday or whatever, or, I don't know if it's supposed to be Friday the 13th Part 4, or if it's supposed to be Jason Goes to Hell, because at the end of Jason Goes to Hell, like, we see Freddy's hand grab Jason's mask, so when we get to it, you're going to be like, oh, okay, there's that spoiler. But, what's it called? The beginning of the film, like, that's like the first time you really get to enjoy Robert's, like, flashbacks, because we see it in Part 6, but we don't see him actually doing anything. We just see him, like, as a kid, as a teenager, but we don't see him actually being the killer that he will. Well, he kills his wife, but that's not good enough. Here he kills a little girl, and you see him like be like a psycho, and you're like right away like, oh shit, like they should have done more like movies with Freddy, like Like at least that should have been Freddy's Dead, like that Freddy. Like if Freddy's Dead would have had that would have got over that
Oh
intro.
yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. Like you have to wait till Freddy's Dead to get any sense of history on the guy other than the people burned him. But here we go again. He says, and then he introduces it and saying, "I had to search the depths of hell, but I found someone."
Yeah, someone that'll make them remember. So yeah, that's basically the premise of the film is that they don't talk about Freddy. They quarantine the kids. They find out later. They tell us that also. Like I don't like. That's one thing I don't like about this film is that they openly state what's going on. Like the characters, like they find out shit right away, like so that we understand. They're like, wait a minute, what if they gave us this so we would forget, and now we're making everyone remember, and that's how Freddy's getting his power. Like I started laughing because, like I tell you, I always kind of will watch kind of reviews of people or podcasts for like some of these films. And I saw this one, and the guy was saying that, like, what would you, he was saying, like, what if we we're giving him his power, what he wanted, and then the guy goes, the reviewers are like, I'd say you're friends with the script writer. I started laughing. I'm like, exactly, because it's so stupid to hear them like explain it like that. Like it would be okay if they did it like once in a while, but like the whole movie, it's like they do that. Like they explain it to you, like, well, Freddy, he died by fire. Jason, he died by water. How can we use that? Like there's this like it just like I don't know. It just sounds kind of like stupid. I mean, it's obvious stuff, but like for them, like the whole film, they're doing all that shit.
Right. It's the teenagers who are being warred on by these people, by Freddy and by Jason. It's like they figure it out too soon in the movie and too easily, and it's like they would have no reason to know that well because they're. I mean, if we're assuming the frame of this movie is 2003, well, then they're about 15 years, give or take, removed from the actual victims in the earlier movies.
Yeah, I think like it would have been okay for this film, like with the stuff that they do if they had a little bit better actors. Like they have that one cop who's the guy from Night at the Roxbury, the trainer. Yeah. And like it's just funny because they're there and like they're like, what do we know about this Jason guy, And then he walks in, Jason Voorhees, he drowned when he was whatever years old in Camp Crystal. Like he gives them the whole rundown for those people that never saw the Jason movies or whatever. But I don't like that they just like it's just too much coincidence. And like I understand it's a ridiculous movie, but the whole movie is like that. I'm not really a fan of the director Ronny Yu. He's the guy that directed Bride of Chucky. So it's like this kind of and he would do like a lot of martial arts films. Like he's one of those dudes that like they try to mix up, like he thinks he knows what's hip, I guess, for like these kinds of films, and they're overly gory. So like, what do we throw rock and roll in there? And it's kind of like generic rock and roll for the most part, and shit like that. And I'm not into his directing style. And the blood they use in this film, like it's like gimmicky, you could tell it looks ridiculous blood, and it's overly bloody, and it looks fake, on top of that,
So he's the kind of guy that, like you mentioned Bruce Lee movies, and he's all, your style is unorthodox. But effective.
But effective. Yeah, dude.
He's that kind of guy. But I gotta say, like, this movie, and just, given the preface of this up front, and I'll try to save my own personal thoughts for later, but this movie up front it's a 2003 horror movie. They're gonna accelerate it, they're not gonna leave it to a sequel to unfold and learn the mystery and all that kind of stuff. They're gonna have, these teenagers figuring out stuff earlier than they should. They're gonna have, that's it's not Scream. It's not that bad, but it is an early 2000s, late 90s horror film. So going into it that it's gonna have that element.
Yeah, like when you see, like, we haven't seen the Friday the 13th, so we'll see, I mean, of course you can't comment on that, but like when you see these kids compared to like the Nightmare on Elm Street like actors, like you would think like they are better actors, but like are they really? Because I can't really say they're better. I don't like that. Like they look. I mean, the film obviously looks way better. The quality, I'm saying, like like everything looks good. So like I know people will say like these are some of the best actors that in any of the series had. I'm like maybe, but like they're still like not that good at all. I mean, even if you say, I mean, I guess you could say it, but they're not good at all. Like everything that, all the lines that they do, like I kind of like chuckle or like cringe, you know, like it's just like all the characters. Like I don't think there's a character in here, even Freddy, you know, from the beginning of the film to the end, like except for the beginning, he's pretty good. But like he's kind of like he fucks up a couple of lines where it doesn't seem like the real Freddy. Even that we saw in like Freddy's Dead, like they were better at picking out like the takes of him. Like we were talking the last time about at the end when he's fighting Jason, he's just like, you know, hey, up here, asshole. You know, it just sounds funny. You're like,
well, and there's scenes with Freddy where he doesn't sound like Freddy, and there's scenes with Freddy where he does sound like Freddy. But it's like the inconsistency is going to throw off the audience.
Yeah. We'll try and stay on track here. I know I'm jumping around, folks. This is one of those films where it's kind of a free-for-all. Yeah. And but we'll try and give you a kind of a rundown of the film. It won't be too long of a podcast because, I mean, what can you... It would be more of us going down a trip on memory lane rather than saying what's so great about this film, and I don't want to spend too much time trashing it. But at the beginning of the film, like we said, you know, Freddy talks about the flashbacks, and he resurrects Jason, or Pamela Voorhees does. You know, it's Freddy playing that game. And,
right.
And it's not the real Pamela Voorhees. It's a different actress. Because I don't know if she didn't want to do it or they just weren't going to pay her enough. I think they weren't going to pay her enough, the original actress, to do it. And then after that, Jason goes, and it looks so cheesy. Did you see when Jason's like walking, like, rise up, Jason, and he like starts walking into like the generic fog and like forest. I'm like, man, this looks like shit. Like the quality looks good, but it looks like so haunted housey. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then it's a typical, you know, pretty white girl in the woods. You know, when she goes for a swim and all that stuff.
Yes.
And she gets against the tree, and you know it's flat, and he's seeing memories of all his victims and shit. And then Freddy is pretending to be Mrs. Voorhees, telling Jason what to do, because Jason, you know, I don't want to say he's stupid, but he's not some profound intellectual chess player. So, but Freddy is. Yeah. We know that. So
that we do know.
That we do know. So he's being told by Mrs. Voorhees, who he doesn't know is really Freddy, disguising himself. Because that's what Freddy does. He disguises himself, telling him what to do, go after the children. Because Freddy is using him as a weapon against the teens. Why? Because Freddy is dead. How many times have I motherfuckers say that? But he's not been able to regroup his power to be able to go after teens. So he's going to use Jason to do that.
And that chick in the intro, dude, of course they have to do a Jason scene with some titties, dude. So I started laughing when I saw that. I'm like, oh my, like they're going to start off this movie with Jason slaughtering a chick, but it was like he was making Jason dream, which I thought that was pretty cool. Like he gave him the will to rise up again, you know, rise up, Jason, you know. And then we go to the actual, you know, movie, and we're there at one of the chicks' house. Her name's Kia, right? That's the main girl, or Lori.
They're at Lori's house.
Yeah. Lori? I didn't even notice that. But yeah, she's there. They're like playing the Mary fucking kill Larry, Moe, and Curly, and I'm like, what kind of fucking movie is this? And we meet that one chick. I think her name's Gibbs. Gibb,
homegirl with the baseball cap on.
Yeah, she's actually probably the second finest one. She got like way finer. Like after this movie, I seen she was in something else, and I had saw her, and I was like, man, I didn't even recognize that chick, man. But Lori's a piece of ass, dude. That chick, those tiggle bitties. But yeah, her boyfriend's an asshole, and Jason, you know, ends up killing him real quick, cutting him to the quick. So
yeah, and that's the thing. Like you gets this thing, and so the guys there, it's the girls' night on a rainy Friday night, of course.
Yeah.
And then the guys come over. Now Lori, you know, she's gonna they're trying to hook her up with this guy Blake. Now Trey and Blake are friends.
Yeah.
I guess they're football teammates or whatever. And Trey's clearly the alpha, and he's the asshole that can make the chick, you know, beg like a dog. Well, now they go upstairs to bang, and now Blake is downstairs with Lori, and Lori's getting over the loss of her boyfriend, and we'll find out about him later. And Kelly Rowland, oh my gosh, dude, I was like, when I was a sophomore in college, I was madly in love with Kelly Rowland. But she's trying to tell her, get over the ex, go with Blake, but she's not feeling Blake. And
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they like because I had like I said I put it on and I was kind of like laughing because of course like when you first watch it you probably won't get it, but like they're talking to about Lori's boyfriend at the time or whatever that we'll find out later, but she's like Lori. Some guy not as, doesn't give you so much as a goodbye letter or whatever, and all this. That's a crazy ass scene though. When Trey, like, he bangs his chick or whatever, and she's like, "Babe, like I told you, I don't like to be touched." After and then he's like, "Go take a shower. You smell like menthol, all dickhead." And then Jason like ends up stabbing the fuck out of him, and then fucking makes the bed collapse on itself or whatever. And then the police, for what? Well, we know later on why, but they suspect that it's Freddy. And then one of the friends, Blake, he has like a nightmare about Freddy after that too. So when you saw that, did you freak out, dude, or like why? Because it's like it's kind of you weren't really expecting it because you're like, oh shit, we're already going to the dream world.
No, I mean it's that thing like. So I mean, you expect the crazy supernatural scary stuff to happen, and at this point, I mean, again, surprise, surprise, the house that this happens at is 1428 Elm Street. The cops say that out loud, and then they're gonna get now. I say they're gonna get to the police station. Lori is gonna sit down with Officer Stubbs, which. I mean, like I saw Officer Stubbs the other way. I was like, where have I seen this guy before? And I'm sure you can tell me. But I was like, I've seen him somewhere. So, yeah, like you said, she's going to have, these dream sequences, and then she's going to tell people, they've asked me all these really weird questions, about my dream. Yeah. And then the name she's going to come up with for whatever reason, no real reason for her to know on her own, but she's going to come up with the name Freddy.
Yeah, that's weird. Like, that's what I was talking about, like so many of these coincidences, like it's just like whatever. Like before all that happens, like I liked when Freddy shows up like as some shadow monster, and like tries to kill Blake, and then Jason chops off his dad's head and then him. But then they're at the police station. I don't know if it's before or after, but I just remember that. But they're at the police station, and then like she's like they're asking me all these questions and this and that, and then she she puts her head down, like I guess she's sleepy or whatever, and she's like Freddy. And then all of a sudden, like probably one of the coolest scenes, at least to me, is that like she wakes up from that, like as soon as she says Freddy and like the police station's empty, you know what I mean? Like that's enough to get her into like a little dream going,
Right, and then she has another more profound dream with the little girl who's got her eyes stabbed out and has the blood makeup around her eyes, and she's all, and I actually quoted what she said. His name is Freddy Krueger, and he loves children, especially little girls. Freddy's coming back. Soon he'll be strong enough. It's okay to be afraid. They were all afraid. Warn your friends. Warn everyone.
Sounds like me when I'm talking, introducing people to Ray and they haven't met him and shit, dude.
And then, but the difference is Ray doesn't show you little girls jumping rope singing the Freddy,
Yeah, I started laughing. His name is Freddy Krueger, and he loves and I understand like they're doing it so she'll spread the thing, but it's so like generic. Like it's still freaky, like seeing the little girls do that. But they could have done it like a little bit better instead of like so vanilla. His name is Jeremy, and you're like, what? Like, why are you saying all this shit? And then I think after that we start to. Well, I
was gonna go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think we meet Mark and Will, right, dude, at the psychiatric hospital.
So not quite yet. So yeah, that is soon after this. But there's one little thing between that, and that is Blake is outside on his front porch.
Okay, that scene. That's the scene that I was talking about earlier. Yeah,
you did mention it. I wanted to get to Lori before because I saw you were going that way. So Blake is outside, and he's sad to death. And like Trey was his friend. Trey was his guy, the guy he looked up to, his buddy. And he's sitting out there. I guess he's drinking a beer, and he's sitting there talking to himself. I'm gonna get these guys, Trey. I'm gonna kill him myself, and then his dad goes out. His fucking dad. Is it just me, or does Trey's dad look like Alex Jones?
Well, let me tell you something right now. He's gonna cut a Alex Jones promo and shit. Yeah, he does look exactly like Alex Jones. That's pretty funny, dude. That's pretty good.
And so that means Trey's dad is going to talk about that, like Freddy and Jason are tools of the New World Order and blah blah blah.
Yeah, and like when I was talking about how like they speak to the audience like if we're stupid, like when he's like slicing at Blake, he's all like, "Not strong enough yet," but whatever. And I'm like, why does he have to tell us? Like, I mean, I guess people out there they wouldn't know, but it's just like. If he would have said it like nonchalantly, it would have been a little bit better. But it's like he has to say it like if we're like dumbasses and like we're like 5 years old and we have to be told like, well, I'm not strong enough yet to kill him. But if until then, I'll let Jason have some fun with them first. And then like he winks at the camera. Like I don't like that. Like that the whole film is them explaining to us, what's going on, why Freddy didn't kill him. Like, okay, it's like this is like an ABC movie for like people that maybe have never seen a horror movie or basically never seen a movie in general, and they need everything explained to them. I don't like that. You know what I mean?
Well, it goes back to what you're talking about. It goes back to show don't tell. Like I listen to certain podcasters who have a background in improv, and they say the best acting we do is when we say nothing at all, yet still achieve conveying the message. So you can achieve conveying the message by Freddy trying to stab someone and having no impact at all. Yeah. You don't have to say out loud, "Oh, I'm not strong enough."
Yeah, exactly. He could have just said something like, "Just you wait," like something like that. You know what I mean? Like he didn't have to say not strong enough now, but I'll let Jason have fun with them. No, just kind of like fucking give him a little threat, but don't tell him you're not strong enough. What the fuck?
But the worst thing about that is I agree it's bad that he said that, and I agree it's bad that they're showing that. But even the icing on the cake of that bad Sunday is the fact, or bad cake, is the fact that he doesn't sound like Freddy. Like his face doesn't look like Freddy, and his voice doesn't sound like him.
I'm glad you brought that up because when I was writing down my notes about some of the things, I was like, his makeup looks like nothing I've never seen before, and it looks like shit. Even the Freddy before this, the Freddy, the New Nightmare looked better than this one. You know what I mean? This one, like, it looked instead of looking like skin, it just looks like red, like shit all over his face. And then his voice, like, it kind of has a guttural sound, but it doesn't sound like Freddy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it just sounds like none of the previous Freddy films that we've seen. So it kind of sounds.
It sounds like a regular person.
Yeah. Like he's trying to sound deep, but I just, Anyway, I don't want to, linger on this part forever. But yeah, this is when we go to like the psychiatric hospital. We meet Will and Mark. Mm-hmm. I always laugh no matter how many times I see it. When they're bullshitting, and of course they're talking about because they see like I don't know. Tell me what happens when they meet them.
They're in line and they're gonna get these the medication they're supposed to take at this Weston Hill psychiatric facility. So Will is there. Will, by the way, his last name is Rollins. So go ahead and burn that down. But so he asked the black cop. He's like, "Hey, why are we getting these pills? That's so you don't fight back when I whip your ass. Whatever." But then he sees the news story on the TV, and he's like, "Hey, can you turn it up?" And the cop's being a dick to him. He's like, "Come on, man, I never asked for you. Just turn it up. I know someone who lived in that house." And I mean, if you're the cop, you're thinking to yourself, "Bullshit, you're fucking me." But at the same time, you see the passion in Will because he does know it, and he wants to know what the fuck happened.
Yeah, and that's when they go and sit down and start talking about it, right? Then I guess one of the slower patients goes up to the other dude, and Mark, I think his name is Mark, and the guy that looks like fucking the problem child and shit, and he's like, "I told you, I don't play chess or whatever. Now go bring me I don't play Uno. Now go bring me the fucking Uno thing and we'll play whatever, checkers or chess. I forgot what game they're playing, but he's like, I told you, I'm not a checkers guy or chess guy. But go get the fucking Uno deck. We'll play fucking Uno." And they're like, they're held bound on like breaking out of the hospital, and that's when that one dude goes up to the counter and farts on the fucking window.
In front of the fucking bulletproof glass, yeah. But he did it for a reason, because he wanted to get them fucked with so that they'd have an easier time getting out.
Yeah, so he got the keys from the guy, right, from one of the guards, and they bust out of there. And so these guys were like, well, who are these guys? Like, he knows Laurie. Why was he in there and all this and that? And they break out. And then the next day at school, right, that's when they're talking to like everyone in the hallway. And we meet the other guy. He's like the dork of the film. And he comes on a lot of films.
Linderman.
Yeah. What's his first name? D?
Oh, I wish I had written it down, but I know Linderman.
Yeah. That's what they call him, right? Linderman. Yeah, that's all they call him. Yeah, Linderman. But they're there, and like they give him a bunch of shit because he's always trying to be nice to Laurie. But anyway, just like the whole like what I've been saying for a while, like how they have to explain everything for you. They're like, they kept on. Well, I think this is where she starts talking to him about what's going on at the police station, and then that guy Mark is all like, his name is Freddy Krueger, and he starts going on about it too, like letting us know in case you didn't hear the first time, in case the audience didn't, like if they were gonna save it to like, fucking, they've repeated it so many times for us already, but then he does it again too, like, you know why? Because if you go to sleep, you don't wake up, and this and that. Like, I just feel like, can we stop talking to the audience like we're a bunch of fucking morons? Like, like it's not even that that's bad filmmaking. It's just like, I'm not having fun watching you like read a book to me, basically. You know what I mean? Like, it just seems dumb. But the cops see them and they end up running out of there.
Hey, you want some free advice?
What?
Coffee. Make friends with it.
That's right. He does say that. You want some free advice? Coffee. Make friends with it. Like makes him feel all threatened. Oh, and then that's when the other dude shows up. He's like Mark. Like, chill, bro, whatever the fuck, and then like they start talking and all that. Laurie's all like,
Will,
yeah, Will. Which one's Will? The crazy one or the other?
No, Will's the boyfriend, and then Mark is the crazy one.
Friend, I want my life into waiting to get there, waiting for you. I'm alone, slow dancing in the dark. Don't follow me, you'll end up in...
Kia is going to have her own dream, because remember what happens to Laurie. So she's going to be in that nurse office waiting for Laurie to... Because she faints seeing Will.
Yeah.
So Kia is, being a good friend, waiting for her, hoping she's okay and everything. Kia starts falling asleep. And then she has the fucking crazy-ass nightmare of Freddy. And, of course, she was talking earlier about getting a nose job. And then he's like...
Got your nose!
Dude, it's like... But here's the thing, like... this is 2003. You can get away with talking about black people having nose jobs and stuff back then. You try doing that in a movie today, forget about it.
Yeah, no shit. Yeah, exactly. But it's like... people would always give Freddy bullshit for acting stupid. Like, this whole movie, he's acting like a jackass, dude. Like, this is Freddy's dad, Freddy, with, like, a couple of scenes where he's, like, a tough guy, but, like, he's, like, acting retarded, like, basically the whole fucking film. Like he's just, like, a pushover. Like, if it would have been Dark Freddy versus Jason, it would have been more, over, but it's just like, oh, Freddy's, playing that piece of shit, he's scared game, and I understand he's small, but he's got, like, powers, dude, you know what I mean? So, after all that bullshit, if they're in the hospital or the nurses, what happens after that?
Yeah, so after that, what do you call it? So, she gets out of the nurse's office. Now, Mark and Will get chased off by the cops who know that they're supposed to be at Weston Hills. Yeah. They run off. They go to some library of some sort, and they're looking up all these county and town public records. And what do they find? They find that there's no mention of Freddy, no mention of Freddy Krueger, no mention of victims, and no mention of January 18th, which is the date that his older brother was killed.
Yeah, exactly. And then that's like when they go to that rave that night, right? Laurie's there at the rave in the cornfield, and That's when they're in the library. So that was pretty cool that they were like, "Where's that at?" When they're like, I always like library scenes. You really can't do that anymore because now you just fucking pull out your phone and Wikipedia shit. But back then you just like the way the changeling is, you have to go to the library and do your research. But they go to that cornfield scene. And long story short, that girl Gibbs, she's all drunk and she sees her boyfriend like, "Babe, don't make me ask you twice."
Yeah,
she's all drunk.
She sees him in the midst of all these cornrows, and he says to her, "So I've been dead 24 hours, and you're already partying."
Yeah, I laughed.
And it's true. I mean, yeah, you laugh, but it's fucking true. I mean, that's when that's the movie laughing at itself, because if people have like their boyfriend or someone they're in love with or whatever die, and it's only been 24 hours, I'm not going to a fucking party.
Yeah, exactly, dude. Yeah, I thought that was funny. He's all like, and then it's Freddy holding the head of the dude, so it's even funnier. Like, man, she must be really drunk. And then she goes into the dream world, which is all red, which is Ronny Yu style, trying to say, like, because Freddy, he's got to be red, and Jason's got to be blue, because y'all are retarded if we don't do it that way, And, Freddy's trying to kill her. She's in a locker, and then Jason ends up killing her. And then we get one of the worst, Freddy, lines, and not just like lines, but the delivery. "She's mine. Mine." Like, what the fuck is that?
Because she just fucking because Jason killed her in the real world, and so Freddy's trying to get at her in the dream world, in that fucking smokehouse or whatever of the fucking cornfields, the still or whatever it is, and she just vanishes right in front of him, and so Freddy has that breakdown, that fucking me when there's no fucking Dairy Queen Blizzards anymore.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, then like he kills a bunch of people. You got the one guy. Oh yeah, there's that one dude. That's what it is. The guy with a bunch of glow sticks all over him. He starts making out with her, and then that's when she gets stabbed through him.
That was a dude?
I guess so. Yeah.
I thought it was a chick.
Who knows? But I was one of the funny parts is there when they're like these two dudes are drinking or smoking or something, and they turn around and they're like, "Hey, Jethro." "Hey, Jethro." And then they're like, "This is a party and you weren't." And then Jason just twists his head. And then he sets him on fire. He's like, "Burn, you son of a bitch." And then Jason goes on a rampage, which is like overdone because he just like chopping everyone up. But I did enjoy like finally like like in the Friday the 13th movies, like Jason's supposed to be some juggernaut, but there's like hardly any scene where he's like out there just annihilating everybody, and everyone's like can't do shit about it. This is one of those rare times to where he's doing it. The only other time I can remember is probably like on something like on what's it called? Jason Goes to Hell, probably. But yeah, it was cool to see him run wild like Hulkamania.
Run wild like Hulkamania or the Warrior, when he's grabbing the ropes. But the thing is, chubby guy gets stabbed in the chest. The frat boy chubby guy gets stabbed in the chest with a citronella torch flame candle top.
Yes.
And he gets that in the chest. And see, but that's symbolic of something. See, Jason has no aversion to fire. It's only water that fucks with him. And for Freddy, it's exactly the opposite.
Yeah, the thing with that too, though, is that, like with those reviewers, I thought the same thing. I'm like, oh yeah, because Jason's never gone into water, and you'll see like all the films that Jason's in, he's always around water. But here they made him afraid of it, and I understand they have to hold on to something, and like Jason, like Freddy goes like, you are afraid of something, when they're having their little battle, but. Yeah, I mean, it's just so much shit that they were like coming up with off the top of their head to try and like make it seem like a battle. Well, it should have just been, hey, I got a nightmare guy that has all these powers, and you got a juggernaut. That's really it. I mean, Freddy's afraid of fire, but he's always in the boiler room. So with the fucking bullshit. So it's just whatever. But yeah, after all that shit, they all like hang out. That's when they meet Freeberg or whatever, the Silent Bob or Jay and Silent Bob lookalike guy. And they're all,
that's what he reminds me of. Like, I'm glad you said that, because I was like, he reminds me of something I've seen before, but I can't put my finger on it.
Oh yeah, that was like the knockoff stoner look, and they all talk about getting that fucking hospital drug that was a reference to part 3, which they were trying to do the entire movie, trying to reference the other films. The Hypnosil from part 3. they're like, maybe if we can get that, and they make them like it's supposed to keep them from dreaming, right?
Yeah, it's supposed to keep them from dreaming, where they can have a pure dream-free state, so they can get the sleep they need without having the dreams. Therefore, Freddy cannot enter into their fucking state of being.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, I'm not going to go into every single thing that's happened up to this point, but yeah, they're in the hospital. They break into the hospital like super easy, and they
Too easy.
Yeah, the Freeberg guy, he's the one that's like, oh, but we need this because like he's like getting high, and then he sees like the caterpillar, Freddy, smoking him out or whatever the fuck, and then he takes over his body. And
right. And can I just tell you, so here, like, by this point, and yeah, that they do get to the hospital, and he does steal that shit, but by this point, we found out that Will is revealing that Laurie's father is in bed with the fucking Weston Hill psychiatric facility.
Yeah, so, this whole thing is without having to get into the scenes, is that Will thought he saw her dad kill her mom. Yeah. But it really was Freddy that did it, and I guess somehow the cops knew it, and they just threw it in there to have a reason to lock this guy up, and the parents are protecting them, and they know they're wise to the business. So basically that's what's going on from what I understood, is that he saw somebody kill her mom, and she thought it was him, but for whatever reason they knew it was Freddy, or they thought it was Freddy. And oh yeah, in case y'all didn't know, Laurie lives in the Freddy house, and instead of the door being blue like it was in part 1, and then red in the other one, it's like yellow or something now. Yeah, it was like, what the fuck? Exactly. I had noticed it right away. I was like, it looks like Freddy's house, but the door's yellow. I'm like, what the fuck? Why didn't they paint it red?
Well, every house got to go through a remodeling over 20 years,
But just the door?
only the door. They're that uptight about curb appeal, I guess.
Yeah.
But so then they're gonna sneak into Weston Hills, like you said. Their goal is to steal the Hypnosil, and little do they know that Jason followed them there. And yeah, the Caterpillar Freddy is fucking with Stoner, wannabe, Jay and Silent Bob, and then you're gonna see this hallway thing. So Will is gonna walk right by fucking Stoner, and he's gonna say, "Hey, come on, we gotta go," and then you hear this fucking deep guttural voice, "No, I'll be right here. I'm waiting."
Yeah, and then when Freeberg gets taken over, he's got it's Freddy that's got possessed him, and he's got like some kind of like tranquilizers, and then he like jumps on Freddy and like gets him knocked out, but he gets sliced in half. So there goes my favorite character of the movie. And I was laughing again, like one of the reviewers, because like these are not like my thoughts, because I'm watching the film and I always check out what other people say about stuff, because it like if they say stupid shit, like if I agree with it, I won't mention it. I don't give it any thought. But I started laughing. They're like, oh yeah, like gunshots and everything don't work on Jason, but tranquilizers do.
Yeah, and Mobatine, that's the name of the drug.
Yeah.
And so this is very, you got to think, this is smart strategy. If you're looking at it from a purely intellectual plane, it's smart strategy on Freddy's part. Why? Because he's going to tranquilize Jason. He's going to put him to sleep. And if he's asleep, what can Freddy do?
Yeah, see, I didn't think about that. It's like, oh yeah, it's Freddy trying to put him in the dream world, and that was cool to finally see it like that, to see them battle and to see like fucking him do everything he can to like hurt Jason. He can't do anything, and then it's also cool because you see like Jason just completely like throw him around, and then I started laughing because you see Jason getting thrown around telepathically or whatever, because Freddy's got powers like that now too.
Right.
All of a sudden, and I'm like, man, this is like some Looney Tunes shit again. Like people always like laugh at Freddy's Dead for being like Looney Tuny, but I'm like, he's getting thrown around, hitting pipes like a fucking moron.
Yeah.
This big old tough guy, and they're making him look like a jackass. You know what I mean?
It was kind of like, I agree with you. So like, I know when you say Looney Tunes, you're thinking of, there's that one episode of Looney Tunes where it's a boxing match between Bugs Bunny and Gossamer, and like that thing goes like 100 rounds. And that thing goes like it becomes a pinball game at some point. It's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean this has a little bit of that element to it. But then it's a boiler room, so it's like Undertaker versus Mankind, but it's Freddy and Jason.
Yeah.
And then finally,
Mankind, yeah.
Yeah, and it's finally Freddy just screams out like Freddy has done everything you can do to a guy like that would have killed most people after the first fucking move, and he's like, "Why won't you die?"
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because I didn't think about it till you said that. They actually use a very similar line on part. I think it's the remake. He's it's towards the end when he's gonna kill Quentin or whatever. He's like, "Why won't you just fucking die already?" or whatever the fuck. Like he's like tells him shit like that. And then, but yeah, I forgot he tells him like, "Why won't you just die?" And of course, because we need explaining the whole. Like again, if they would have done this here or once or twice, it would have been okay. But the whole movie's them explaining. So while he's passed out, you got one of the chicks saying like, "Well, Jason, he's from Crystal Lake, so why don't we get him back there? Maybe he'll have a fighting chance and this and that." Or like, how would throwing Jason at Camp Crystal Lake give him a fighting chance? He's like home field advantage. I'm like, he's in the fucking woods. Like where who cares where he's at? Like how is that giving him power? He's at the fucking lake in the woods,
And how lucky are they if they're in Springwood, wherever the fuck, and that just happens to be close by to Crystal Lake?
Yeah, exactly. Like just down the street, Springwood, Ohio, and isn't Crystal Lake supposed to be like in Jersey or something? So it's not down the street.
And that's the thing. And that's the thing too. Like, first of all, like they never were clear to me where Springwood was. I'm sure they did say to one of the earlier ones, but it's like, why do these people have all these dreams of these Arizona, Utah desert like areas with Freddy, but then it's in fucking Ohio? What the fuck?
You're talking about Freddy 2, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they end up going to fucking Camp Crystal Lake, and did they bring Freddy into the real world or some bullshit?
They do, but I forgot exactly how.
Oh, Lori is. I think Lori like pulls him into the dream, right?
You know what it is? She gave Jason mouth to mouth.
Yeah.
Remember, and then
that's Kia, whatever.
Or Kia, yeah, Kia did. You're right. My girlfriend Kia. Yeah, but she gave him mouth to mouth and that somehow brought both of them into the real world. So now here they are on the fucking wooden dock.
Yeah, so Lori has a dream about Freddy somehow. I forgot how they put Faith. She's like this. I think they're in the basement, or I forget exactly how everything's, because it's so ridiculous. But I know that like they're like, what if I can pull in Jason and Freddy into the real world? Like they haven't done that in 3 other movies and shit, right? And she starts saying like, well, I can pull him into the fucking real world. And then that's when she has a dream, and Freddy's all like pretending to be her dad at one point too. Anyway, she pulls him into the real world, and he's like in a cabin. That's what it is. Like they're in a cabin, and then Jason's there, and like Freddy like does the slow turn around, like he can't believe it.
Freddy displays water, and Jason's scared of it. So now, at that point, Jason is reduced to this scared, shaking little boy, and they take off his mask, and Freddy is the one who removes his mask. And then he shows Jason, 8-year-old scared little boy Jason, the head of Mrs. Voorhees. So, fucking mind games, fucking fucked up, fucking piss anybody off.
Yeah.
So now, they're back in the van, and they inject Jason's body with the Mobatine. And now I didn't realize now that this is like he's in the dream, he's in the REM state, which is why this whole shit's to begin with. Like I'm writing, that's what I realized as that was happening. Now Lori is going to go to sleep because she's going to try. Like I said, she goes to sleep with the purpose of seeing things and trying to bring Jason to the real world and bring Freddy to the real world too, so they can fight out there and destroy him there. Because that's always the theme: is everyone thinks they can destroy Freddy in the real world. She's going to see 8-year-old, 9-year-old, whatever, Jason getting bullied by the other kids at summer camp. She's going to see the camp counselors doing nothing about it, letting him drown. And she's going to see Freddy banging a camp counselor.
Yeah, it's not my fault this bitch is dead on her feet. And then he tries to make out with her. And then that's when they end up at the cabin in the woods or whatever, and that's when they have that battle where they're in the fucking. And it's funny. I don't know if you saw any of the trailers. She's like, Freddy versus Jason. Place your bets. Like, again, such generic bullshit. Like, I'm like, these fucking people, like, who wrote these lines and who, like, said that these deliveries were good? But yeah, they end up having this battle, and like one of the cool things that happens is where Freddy throws like those like wired big old fucking bullshits through Jason. It like ends up like stabbing him. I forgot what they're called, but they're like pipe little metal things you'll see on highways. And they kind of go back and forth, and he's like throwing everything he can in the real world on Jason. And that's when he's all like, "Hey, asshole, up here!" And I'm like, man, they really didn't give a fuck about Freddy's like fucking delivery. They just let him do whatever. Cause, well, I mean, just to kind of go back a little bit, like when he's chasing Gib, I think her name is again, like in that dream, like you don't see Freddy's face. It's like real dark, and you could tell it's like an overdub job where like they do it in post production. And I'm like, man, this is like bad, like the way they have him like doing his voice, number one. But number two, it's like you're gonna like you can clearly see like it's not Freddy talking. It's like post production add on like overdub shit.
Yeah, and then we're gonna have the full completion of the Lori and her father and him being framed by Freddy and all that shit. That's gonna come to light in the remainder of Lori's dream because she's still asleep.
Yeah.
And then he's gonna the fucking classic line from that is, "I've always had a thing for whores that live in this house."
Oh, was it at that part?
That's at that part.
I've always had a thing for the bitches in this house. But tell me about the fucking final battle when they're kind of going back and forth and.
Yeah. So the fire. Lori's hand gets put in the fire because they're trying to wake her up, and they have to put her hand in fucking fire to wake her up. Now Freddy here, he's going one-on-one with Jason. Linderman's going to die against the tree, and you think him and Kelly Rowland might have a thing if he lives, and then he dies, of course. That doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And now Freddy is going to see fucking Kia, fucking Kia, fucking cousin.
Yes, I remember that part.
And again, you couldn't do this today, but back then, how sweet, dark meat.
Yeah, so sweet. Dark meat. Yeah, you'll never see shit like that, dude. But yeah, I started fucking laughing when... Go ahead.
And then the fucking like the fucking shit like okay, it becomes like Scary Movie, like when Scary Movie when the beauty pageant chick gets her head decapitated and she's still talking shit to the killer. Okay, that's what this is like because Kelly Rowland starts saying, "What kind of faggot runs around in a Christmas sweater?" Yeah,
I actually liked that because it was like fucking. I mean, like where it got a pop from me, because it's like, it's like like. If you were talking shit to this killer, like what would be some of these good, fucking put downs, And then she goes with, what kind of a faggot wears a Christmas sweater? And he kind of goes like, like he kind of like he, he felt that, dude. That was a good bird, dude. No pun intended, but I guess fuck it. But I started laughing, and then he points, like, hey, behind you, and then Jason, impales her bitch ass or knocks her through a tree and all that. Which one you could tell was just thrown in, like, oh fuck it, we need to get some more deaths in here, and and they were like kind of like lazy, like we had enough kills in this film, but like not enough kills with meaning. They were just like real quick, like you know what I mean. But
that also explains, like, so the fact that she gets killed by fucking Jason right behind her explains why. Because like I'm watching her shit talk Freddy, and I'm like, why isn't Freddy just ripping her heart out? I'm like thinking to myself that. But then it's because he sees Jason right behind her. Now, Lori and fucking Will, they're not going to... They kind of want to watch the two of them fight to the death, but they have it more in for Freddy than they do Jason. So what are they going to do? They're going to light this fucking propane tank to the heavens.
Oh, yeah. So, how do they... I know they end up fighting like on the dock. Well, it was a good one. But before, I mean, like like I said, we skipped around, but like I liked when Freddy's like really pissed off. I think it's before. I think it's when she's dreaming or whatever, and Freddy comes out of the water and he's like the devil Freddy, like all pissed off and shit. But Yeah, they're out
And
there. They're out there at like the fucking what do you call that shit? The pier or whatever.
yeah,
And, yeah, and you have Jason and Freddy fighting back and forth, and
and for a while, Jason's fucking owning him. Like, he's hitting him like his
yeah,
redheaded stepchild or some shit.
yeah, he's like whacking him with the machete, and then I know he cuts off one of Freddy's arms, and then Freddy gets the machete, and he starts stabbing, and they're like, just it's just blood everywhere. It's just like it's like overkill. They're like, let's just have a ridiculous over the top batch, which well I'm okay with. It's like yeah, now it's okay, but the blood is like overdone, like it's squirting everywhere, dude. Like the one of the chicks Mark has over, you know what I mean, dude? It squirts everywhere, dude. Eee. But yeah, and then all go ahead, dude. You got anything to say about the
That's
fucking?
when, well, but that's when the propane tank, they do what, I can't remember exactly what they did to get it to explode, but they did, and they ran the fuck away to get away from that shit. Well, it explodes and it hits them both, and so where a fire explosion like that should just on contact kill Freddy, but you're the viewer, you're watching this, you're thinking to yourself, okay, it can't kill Freddy because they immediately go into the water.
Yeah, yeah. And then what happens when they come out of the water, dude?
Mm-hmm. They come out of the water and fucking Jason walks out of there like Jason always fucking does. Any kind of movie like this, he comes right out of the water victorious, and he's holding fucking Freddy's head.
The way Freddy was getting his mom over earlier, so I like that little kind of comeback. Like, Freddy had the head of his mom. Now Jason's got his head, and he walks out, and then Freddy's head does the wink, dude, gets him over with the wink. Mm-hmm. And I was all like, wow, I remember seeing that, and I was like, oh, I was pissed off. I was like, no, Freddy died, Freddy lost him. And then he gave that wink, like it ain't over yet, dude, so it was. I remember. I think I did see it in theaters. Now that we talked about it, and I was kind of like, wow, this was cool because you're a kid, you don't really fucking see too many films. Like I said, the way you see this one, where two icons go at it, so you don't pick it apart. But as you get older, you kind of like laugh at it. But I mean, overall, for me, just giving it a score, I'd say it's like a 7 out of 10. It's like it's a fun film. Of course, I'm not gonna rank this the same way I would rank The Godfather or anything else like that. It doesn't. It's a different list, of ranking. But for a versus movie, for a horror movie, for fun, I'd say it's like a good 7 out of 10. Where it's fun. It's not great. It's got a lot of problems with it. But it's not those films. It's not one of those films that you're going to be bored. You know what I mean?
Yeah, see, you said it perfectly and you ranked it perfectly. Like, it's fun. It's easy to follow. You know what's going on. It's a very 2003 movie, and it feels fucking 2003. And it's just it is what it is. You know that going into it. It follows what it should be. And it's easy to follow. And that's what it is. It's like you can't say anything else about it. Yeah, like you said, this ain't fucking Godfather. This ain't fucking Son of a Woman. This ain't fucking like any kind of fabulous movie you can think of. It's Forrest Gump, et cetera, et cetera. This is not that, but it is an early 2000s horror film.
Yeah. What would you give it a score at, man?
Oh, exactly that. 7. 7 only because it's a fun, easy to follow movie. It's like it's better than Scream. I will say that because Scream was just fucking ridiculous. Yeah. It was like you said, Scream sucks and it's terrible, and it is sucks and it is terrible. But this is like a little bit more, you can go with it, mainly because you're going with established characters. You've got an established character in Freddy. You've got an established character in Jason. But you're putting those two guys in a 2003 teenager horror flick.
Yeah. So now that we've seen 8 Freddy films, we'll do this one more time, of course, but how would you rank them? I'll tell you my ranking because I was doing some thinking of myself today. I'm like, how would I rank this film? Because it's like bad, but I'm like, well, if I'm like, because the acting's bad, but I'm like, how much fun did I have? How would I rank them regardless? And I was like, okay, so my number 1, 2, and 3, they're always kind of rotating, but like today, part 3 is my favorite of the franchise, just because Freddy's dreams are like the pinnacle. They're the best there. Part 2 would probably be number 2, just because the way Freddy acts is like the best. Part 1, that's just like a very like dark film. So any of those 3 can change. But then number 4, I would have to say probably like this film, dude, just because it's like you have fun. I'm never bored. I don't think they do a lot of good Freddy stuff, but it's just like a good, you're combining these two guys, and then after that, I will go with part 6, part 5, New Nightmare, and then part 4, dude. So that's how I would rank them.
So we both agree that up to this point, part 4 is the worst.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm probably going to say my list can be similar to yours. I'm going to say my list goes 1, 3, 2, New Nightmare, this one, and then 6, 5, 4.
Okay, 6, 5, 4. Okay, so you don't hate New Nightmare the way I do, huh?
Oh no, not at all. I mean, the only flaw I had with New Nightmare was the underlying rationale of why it was going on, the storyline. But other than that, it felt like a Freddy movie should feel.
I was thinking the other day when I was watching it, I was like, you know what? You know how I was talking about how Wes Craven ripped off everyone? I was like, and then on top of all that, he has the kid from Pet Sematary in his movie too, so he's ripping off Pet Sematary. Because he's like, how the kid's supposed to be all evil, like he's first I play with mommy and then I want to play with you, or whatever the fuck. Like I'm from Pet, like it's the same thing. He's like, never sleep again. I'm like, man, fucking Wes Craven just found everyone he can rip off that film. So that one I really don't like. But I mean, anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed Freddy vs. Jason. We got one more film in the franchise to do, the remake from 2010, which will be coming out fairly soon. Well, like I said, we'll be having Insidious 4 either before this one, you've already seen it, or after it. But who knows? Hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll see you on the next one.
Peace.
Peace.